All right, we're doing our first installment of Monday Madness from somewhere that is not the usual place. Um, and the reason for that is because while my internet has technically been fixed, I still, what's a good way of putting it? I have two connections. The first one is the one that's been down for the past week that I would always use when I would stream. The second one is really good if you're just, browsing online, looking around, etc. But it's very horrendous when I've tried to do streams. It crashes and it does connection is setting up, the little like messages start popping up that it's trying to reconnect itself. And watching a stream after it's told you that it is crashing or otherwise not working to the level that it is supposed to is really irritating because the audio is out of sync with the speaking. It's just a mess. That's the best way I can describe it. Like it's something that I'm just trying to avoid because I really didn't like the one we did on Saturday morning, early Saturday morning, like 3 or 4 in the morning. Looked as bad as it did. Saturday was just a really frustrating day because I had the person basically say it's going to be like this for the next few days, or who knows how long that was going to be. And then um you know because you don't have a TV to like drown out the other noise in your house, you have to hear this all day long and just kind of sit there and listen to it, um because for some reason we live in an era where people can't close a door. I don't know what that is about, but whatever. So the whole thing is just really lame. I'm glad it's mostly back though. I'm very satisfied with that. But I was going to mention that um, I had two videos I want to do this week, and I'm going to see if I can finish them by Friday. And if not, I'm going to. They shouldn't take longer to do than another week at most. Because one of them I was mostly done with, which is why last week was so frustrating. Just go in another room. So these people start sounding like cartoon characters after a while. They just never have any empathy for anything. Like I'm not even joking when I say that no matter what happens to you, they can just make it seem so inconsequential and just get over it basically. I remember we had this one. I described this I think it was 2, 3 months ago. There was a woman I met on Discord that was like, it's another one of those people where my romance saga has nothing to do with them, but they feel like they are offended or bothered by my decision to not speak to a group of people who have made it very clear they're not interested in me at all. And I remember she was like, "Why are you so negative?" And I said, "Oh, it's because I have experience." She's like, "Well, get over it." I was, man. If she didn't change her tune by the end of that call, I would have been done with her. Because it seems like there's a lot of people who try to get you to get over something or let it go or any of these other. And I've always said this before. I don't bother these different chicks. I don't look for what they're doing. I have no interest in following up any vitriolic action with regard to disliking them or being forever irritated by what they did. But what I think is so comedic is that when did it become someone else's place to tell me how upset and for how long I should be over something? It's just that's what I never understood. Why does someone else get to decide for me when I get to be mad or no longer angry over something? And the answer to that is they shouldn't be able to, and it's just them trying to, make themselves more important. But it's just such a bizarre. I guess we've had this conversation a few times, but to me, it's always the idea that if someone is not affected by something, for them to sit here and like, I mean, she tried to argue with me on that topic for over an hour. She's not the first one to do that either. There was another one we mentioned that with Recurrence that also tried to do that. And I've always said it doesn't make any sense to me. This is something that has no effect on you. Something that you like I'll never understand why they are bought. And I even made this point to her when she was talking about just like cluing me into some of the details of her own life. She likes to smoke or not smoke, she likes to drink. And I said I don't drink ever, but if you wanted to, you won't see me complaining because I don't care. Your life doesn't affect me. And she made the worst comparison I've ever heard, where she tried to say if you knew a serial killer, would you just like God, like imagine how insane you have to be to actually consider comparing a murderer to someone that says, "Yeah, I don't want to talk to chicks anymore," as if you could be charged with like some kind of breaking a law by not talking to them. I thought that was funny. And it's like she really thought that and was like, "This is a good rebuttal." Also, when we were speaking, she said that she has noticed that she has choice when it comes to who she wants to date. And I was just like thinking in the back of my head when she said that, because we've talked before about like there's a whole bunch of chicks that it could be one of them talking to 5, 10, 15, 20 guys. So when she says that she noticed that she has choice, I'm just like, yeah, you and everybody else with the vagina. It's really comedic because she tries to make it sound like through her self improvement or I guess bettering of herself, she's expanded her options. Like, no, it doesn't matter what you look like. They do this with damn near every chick. Like, what a joke. I have noticed that I have choice. Yeah, you and everybody else with the triangle. God, man, like that's why I thought it was funny. It's like this is really something she thinks she's excelling at in some particular way. No, I really like that what if like even though the video didn't get that many views, I still like the what if I was a parent video because I laid out a clear plan of action. What's up, man? Still having internet problems. Not as bad as last Saturday, but it's still kind of janky. Like if it doesn't get fixed all the way, I'm probably gonna have to stream in here, which is not really that fun for me, but whatever. I'm always made to feel uncomfortable. God, things would be so much easier if I lived alone. I'm not even joking. It would be like for me, the idea of being by myself is the equivalent of like some kind of Disney fairy tale. Like that's the kind of like I have dreams about just like waking up and nobody's making any noise and I can just walk around and do other stuff. It's so nice. My internet has been acting. Man, I'm telling you, I've never seen this before where internet goes out in every single part in only one room in the whole house. You go in the bathroom, it works. You go in the kitchen, it works. Like I've never seen that before. It's so weird. And of course, the person that came over and explained it to me yesterday, what happened was that 3 years ago, I assisted this person with putting the access points for my internet across my house, which is supposed to help it like transfer through and whatnot, easier because a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that as long as they have a router, internet will just work anywhere, no matter how big it is or how, just like they don't understand that the Wi-Fi is like constantly stretching itself out to cover these places. So after we put those up, they worked fine for 3 years. Um, and then apparently the one that's right next to my room, and then there's like two other ones were all acting up, and that's why nothing was connecting or going through. Hey, Akatsuki Merchant, I could sympathize with the fact that your internet is acting up as you profess it to be, but I'm going to be a typical online douchebag and only care about the fact that mine's is acting up. And be like, your internet doesn't work? Well, that's too bad. Like, you know how you could just never get empathy from people under any circumstance. They can never say, hey, what happened to this individual was really messed up, or that sucks, or nothing. Just always antagonistic, no matter what. So I said people are just so nasty, and it's really comedic because they come on here and they try to tell you about the great amazing chicks, but like I said, if you have to do all this stuff just to get somebody to go on a date with you, that should tell you something about who's really good and who isn't. You always have to be the victim of a. They just don't believe in external factors of a derision. Yeah, you always have to be attacked over everything. If my internet randomly goes out, it's my fault. If some random woman doesn't want to date me, it's my fault. It's all everything, no matter what you do. I tell you, I sometimes I really do think the people on this site believe I have like special powers. I mean, like I remember there was this one guy that left a comment. He said, um, it'll be easier for you to respond to me since you make videos. Like, dude, you can make a video as well. If you have a phone to type stuff on, you probably, I would assume, have one that can record a video. So I said people just they're weird to me. And then with all the stuff, other decisions people make you get blamed for. Like you're supposed to be able to control their minds and make them want to hire you or do something else with you. It's just I tell you that's why that voice actor thing was so obnoxious. Like here was a guy who was trying to do some project and he would say, okay, well, I understand that people have other obligations, so I'll give you weeks or months to record this stuff. And then when you give those people weeks or months to record that stuff, they barely do any of it or they do none of it at all, and then they disappear. And then it's like, well, I can see how my patience was rewarded. Tell you, man, like when I get to a point where I'm just fed up with something, that's after having just years and years of bad experiences with it, or multiple bad experiences with it, I should say. Just get over it. I should tell them just go talk to somebody else or just go watch somebody else. That's the beauty of the World Wide Web. There are plenty of people who don't talk about the things I talk about. And if you're bothered by those things that are discussed, you can just go watch one of them. I already told you there's something really I always say that like there are so many channels on this site that I actively avoid because I don't like the content that's made. I don't like the opinions that are being expressed. And they're harder to avoid than I would be because they're way bigger than I am. Like I avoid channels that have millions of subscribers because I don't enjoy what they have to say about damn near anything. Um, and that's why it's all the more weird when you have these people who just like they'll say they don't like your content. They'll say they'll write like some antagonistic thing as if they've seen you before, which entails that they have watched you in the past, apparently developed a disliking of you, but can't forget about you. They just keep coming back. That's why we had that social experiment throughout last year where we would have like these different villains show up on these streams and we would not block them or ban them because we wanted to see if they would truly leave. Like if this content creator is so bad, you're not going to ever watch them again. And sure enough, I'm not even joking. I've seen so many of them write all this nasty stuff and they just keep returning. And I'm always dumbfounded by like, what you couldn't pay me to watch Ben Shapiro. I'm gonna say his name, I don't care. Or what's the other guy, Dan Bongino, or any of these like I would never watch these people because I don't find them entertaining. I sure as hell don't find them smart. Like there's nothing of any value listening to them, which is why I don't. Every time I see one of their videos on my YouTube home screen, it gets in my recommended, I click something else. And that's what drives me nuts. It's like people really do hate watch. They watch people that they claim they don't like. At least when people hate watch a politician, for example, because there are some politicians who have their own YouTube channels, they like upload their speeches and whatnot. At least those are people who actually matter as far as their government is concerned, and they can like keep records of what they're doing, either in some attempt to understand their position or to work against them if they run for another term. But what is the value? Like, I really want to know if we write enough nasty stuff on his streams, he's gonna quit or he's gonna like stop discussing this. I don't understand. It just seems like there's like they always ask me what end goal do you have for discussing what's like, it's just something I like to discuss sometimes. It's not really a thing that is meant to be this grand quest. So it's just weird to me. I don't understand the point of doing what they do. But I guess that's just the modern era in a nutshell, that people are doing a lot of stuff that has no meaning. Like, instead of commenting on Ben Shapiro's channel after watching a video that I think is lousy, I'd rather just not watch him at all and go and do my own thing. People are just so weird to me. I guess there's another content creator I watch, or I used to watch, because I think he's off of YouTube as well. But he was talking about how trolls are bigger fans of him than people who actually like him, because when he does a stream, his fans or people that like him will show up 30 minutes late, but then the like troll is the first one to pop up and write some stuff and click the dislike button and all the rest of that. I'm like, wow, they really just, when they get like obsessed with somebody, they'll just keep trying to say things to them, and like I'm not even joking. I can do a stream that doesn't even get 5 people watching, and you'll have one or two of them show up. It is so weird. So I said people just don't have anything to do. Like it's really sad that we live in an era where there's so many people with these meaningless lives. I'm not even saying that to be fun. Like, I'm not saying I'm so important, but what I am saying is you have a lot of people who the highlight of their day is watching content creators that they don't even like and writing nasty stuff to them, because they know they're never going to do anything of any noteworthiness. So I guess they try to screw with those that they think have. Just like what was that last Saturday? You had some um I guess it could have been some guy on the alt account or whatever. Somebody talking about I'm an RN. I'm like, good for you. And what does that have to do with you trying to write weird stuff on my street? So I said, like, people online, that we should really do a video about that. It was called like fake internet people, or the fallacy of internet personas or something, because a lot of people on the internet just love to one up themselves and act like they're these accomplished, successful, and they've been doing this for years. Because I remember when I read a lot of those romance comments, I was like, wait a second. So if all these guys who are giving this advice are with a woman, why the hell are they watching this stuff? And why don't they ever have any proof that they're with someone, that all this advice that they're offering that nobody wanted actually materialized for them the thing that they claim it's going to for you? Why is that? Told you the real reason is because there is no success among them. They're just a bunch of people on the computer who, again, have nothing better to do with themselves, which is why they have to come online and talk nasty to random people to make themselves feel better. I'm an RN. Well, you must not have enough accomplishment from being an RN to, if you if you have to come online and try to like bother somebody because they're talking about chicks, which last I checked I had a right to if I wanted to. So you go on Twitter, Facebook, um, hell, even on here, you have all kind of different corners of the internet where it's women talking disparagingly about men. And you're not going to see any man make an account and going there, what are you trying to accomplish by speaking so negatively of the opposite gender? You won't see that at all. They get to free roam and just I guess maybe we should do it. You know, the thing is, I don't want to do I've never wanted to do a video where I just screenshot their stuff off of Twitter because a lot of them like I don't want to encourage harassment is I guess the way to put it. But it's just so irritating. Like I know they don't get any pushback. They all just sit there going like that, and which whatever. But then when you do a video, all of a sudden it's like this big major scandal that you want to talk about them. So I said it's stupid. So they can talk about men over and over in a negative way, and nobody calls them what's the term femcells or says that they're gonna blow up a building or shoot up a school or rape someone. None of that comes out of anyone's mouth. But if you speak disparagingly about some women, people act like you're the new Saddam Hussein. I mean, they don't even consider the nuances of what you're talking about at all. So when I did that hooker video, and I think I talked about, do you not want children? Talk about you should have game. Yeah. I started laughing. I was like, when is what I wanted ever mattered? Like at all. I tell you the funniest thing is having all those screenshots of chicks saying they don't want to have kids or that, like you have the one bragging about she had her tubes tied. And then the guy is like, most women want kids. Like, according to what? Because every time I see one of them in real life, like some woman get pregnant, have a kid, it's always by accident. You think I'm joking? I have seen at least 4 or 5 pregnancies among different chicks I've like known in real life, and it's always by mistake with a guy they're not married to. I mean, like, what? Why would I want that? Oh man, I can't wait to date this woman, and then when I decide not to wear a condom, she can have my kid out of wedlock, and then we can get upset with each other and hate each other by the time it's born, and have to see each other and continue to despise each other for the next almost 2 decades. Like, who wants that? Who wants that? Who does that sound appealing to? So I said, man, when people get so caught up on chicks to where they start to like lose reasoning. Because remember, one of my arguments was that there is no appeal to speaking to chicks anymore, just in my view. Um, because a lot of the things I would have wanted, they don't want. And a lot of the things they accuse you of wanting, which is intercourse, you can get from a hooker. So it's like, yeah, there's no purpose in trying to build anything with them because they never want what you want. Or if they do, they don't reciprocate your attraction to them. So it's just a waste of time even interacting with any of them. Told you I was so mad on what was that, Tuesday or Wednesday morning. I unfriended I think like 3 or 4 of them. I was just sick of them, man, because like it's just the same old song and dance. You talk to one of them for a while, and they speak with you regularly for a bit, and month after month, you notice that they're responding less and less. And they claim to be the busiest person in the world. Oh, I'm not online as much as other people are. And while she's saying this, she's changing her avatar on that same stupid website every other day. So I said, just a bunch of liars. But again, I'm sure somebody else will believe the things they say. Some less experienced individual. Told you, man. Not even romantic, just like interacting with chicks is one of the most miserable things I've ever had to put up with because it's an exercise in futility. It's people always tell you that you have these individuals online who say you need to change if you want to get with someone, but it's like, why is it that you never see chicks remotely doing anything of that on their own? Like I always thought relationships are supposed to have compromise. Um, but you don't really see that when you talk to them. Like none of them really do anything because, oh, I want to speak to you and you want this, so I'm willing to do. Like for example, there's one of them I was talking to since October, and this for whatever reason, and we talked about this a little bit. I think it was a few days ago. For whatever reason, she could not bring herself to do a VC or a voice call, and I thought this was really weird because before this past year, I never really knew chicks that were like there was one of them on like Reddit, but for the most part, I never really knew chicks who were outwardly opposed to just speaking voice to having a call. I'd never really seen that in any, large amount is what I'm getting at. But she said she didn't want to have a call, so I could never hear her voice. And I've been writing stuff to this stupid bastard since October. So let's see, it's October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, 10 months. And what did you get for your 10 months? A bimbo that responded to you less and less. There was even a whole month where she didn't say a word to me at all. And a still refusal to do something as basic as have a call. And that's when I said this is going nowhere. But see, that's why I told you that relationships with chicks don't work because they don't compromise. They don't ever try to do anything that appeals to you because they know that they don't have to. They have another 5, 10, 15, 20 guys waiting in the wings. It's like somebody else can enjoy that because I sure don't. God, all these men just trying to talk to some broad. And then there was another one that I met her, I think, a month ago or a few weeks ago. It's been a lot shorter amount of time, but basically, I asked her on the first day we spoke, "Do you like calls or do you like to write stuff?" "Oh, I prefer writing stuff." And then she only responds when you send her a message like twice, and she was like, "I want to see this video you're doing." And I thought to myself, well, I'm not going to make a whole video just so I can get one comment from this bimbo. So goodbye. I'm still gonna make the video. I'm just not gonna have that as like an incentive because she's not worth it. No, I'm not gonna sit here and write some script day after day and go through the editing process and record my dialogue. Like, forget it. She's not worth it. She's just a really stupid person from a foreign country, which doesn't make her dumb. It's just I'm like pointing out because we've had that before. People always say Western women and United States chicks. Like, no, they're bad in pretty much every stretch of the globe. God, like some of the stuff they're opposed to doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I swear, in real life, I've never known a person who I was close to that I wouldn't have a call with. Like, that's why it's weird. Talk to me for 10 months by just typing stuff, even though we can speak voice to voice whenever we want. It's just sad that everything with them is the same thing over and over again, where you keep trying to appeal to them and do all this other crap, and then they don't have to appeal to you at all because, like I said, they have the 4 or 5 basketball teams worth of men waiting in the wings. That's one of my favorite romance videos, women's many many options, because no one. I'm telling you that I really do mean this. Before having several of them admit, "Oh, I'm talking to 5 other men, 20 other men," they show you a little screenshot of their DMs. I didn't know they did that. I remember one time my dad said, chances are if you like some girl and somebody else does too, it's like, yeah, but like that was in I think 8th grade, like like when I was like really young. It's like we've gotten to a point where now it's not even just about having 1 or 2 other people who likes the same person. It's this like thing where they have so many options and alternatives that what the hell can you do to stand out other than ridiculous crap for someone who like we've said this before. If these chicks didn't have a triangle between their legs and 2 watermelons, nobody would be talking to them. Like I've told you before, there are women in real life that are accomplished, multiple actresses that are accomplished, multiple writers. Um, but a majority of women, just like a majority of men, are not, you know, especially wealthy or, you know, I'm not going to sit here and talk about who's hot and who's not because that's not what I get into. But what I'm saying to you is when you place such a high premium on just getting a date with a random woman, not an actress, not an Olympic gymnast, not a businesswoman, just a random woman, you make them not worth it. Because you're going to sit here with your, your muscles and your sports car and say, well, here's a lady that doesn't exercise at all, owns nothing, but for some reason she has 20 men trying to talk to her, and I can't even get two chicks to speak to me at once. But that makes sense. I told you, man, that's what happens when you encourage chicks to just sit here like these little princesses who never have to worry about, making the first move ever, and then have all the men trying to like talk to any chick they can meet. It's just really imbalanced is the way I describe it. And people want you to go back to that imbalanced system. Oh, it'll be different this time if you just take my advice. Because you're not allowed to just be done with something. You have to keep doing it forever, forever and ever and ever. God, everybody online is just a they're all so just drenched in chicks. So, and I swear to you, I've looked at these different people's accounts. 9 times out of 10, they have no picture. While they speak disparagingly about the way somebody else looks. Um, 10 times out of 10, they never show any proof they're actually with the woman. It's just people running their mouths. And a lot of the people who are with one, like on YouTube, pretend like they're these big successes. I used to watch this one guy who's a content creator who bragged about like his wife and being married, having kids. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, dude, you're a janitor. You're a literal janitor, and you're gonna sit here and try to make other people feel ashamed of if they work or don't work. Like, give me a break. So I said online, everybody just comes on here to just brag about how great they are. And then if you actually peel the curtain back, you say, well, wait a second, this isn't exactly as good as you make it sound. Yeah, you clean exhaust ports and other. I mean, like I really couldn't believe it's like that's the person that I'm supposed to feel bad for not measuring up to the level of six. Are you serious? And I've said before, I don't make fun of people for the jobs they have, but I do have a problem when someone tries to make fun of me and pretend like they're so successful and they're not, especially when it happens in real life, because it's a lot easier to keep track of who is and who isn't. I mean, if you saw some of the stuff people will try and use to show how successful they are, it really is comedic. Like you actually have people who think because they have kids, they've accomplished something. When we've been over this before, reproducing is one of the easiest things you can do. If you have a willing partner and you just keep screwing without any protection, it's really simple to just have a kid. Um, and like I mentioned before, it's actually, in a screwed up way, it would probably be easier. And I've said this before, and that's why I think that we're in such a disturbed society. It would be easier for me to have a kid than get married. Like, I'm not even joking. Every time I see someone have a kid in real life, it's always out of wedlock. Two unmarried freaks that, for whatever reason, forgot what a condom was, like over and over again. It's happened 4 or 5 times. In fact, when we were going to do our never-ending accidental pregnancies video, which I still do want to do, I have to just buff out, check out the script, do some other stuff first. We talked about there was a woman who had her first kid when I was in like I think ninth grade, it's like 2013, and then she had the second one when I was in my first year of college. It's like 5 years later, but it was with a different guy who she, just like the first one, was not married to. And you know what that means, right? She didn't learn her damn lesson. And it was so disturbing to me because um I've known some chicks that like have kids out of, I mean, sometimes, like, there's always a thing where when it happens one time, you kind of give the person a pass in a way, because as cliche as it sounds, and it's very cliche, you could say, oh, they made a mistake. It's like, no, this is what you do. You date men who you have no intention of settling down with, which is why it's so damn hard for you to get a ring on your finger. And then you have a kid with them, and then I guess you hope that this one will stay with you or it won't end badly. I mean, like, this is just what they do. That's certainly what she does. I've never seen one that had two kids out of wedlock with two different men that quickly, like within a few years. Like, Jesus Christ. Yeah, and then you have two frustrated idiots and a ruined child. Yeah, and like I said, what's so disturbing is that if people truly wanted to create good environments for their kids, there's a million different ways to do it. For example, instead of impregnating someone who you're not married to, maybe you can first get married to the woman, and then, after being with each other for some amount of time that is, um, you know, I would say a year, but some people are, like, for example, my grandparents dated for 8 years before they got married, and then my father was born some years later. But I'm just saying that there are some people who might take longer, might have a short amount of time. Basically, if two people decide they're going to have a kid and they're going to save up for it and they're going to work to make sure that it has some suitable environment that's stable, it could work. But these bastards don't do this, because we've discussed this before. There are a lot of people, male and female, but especially female, who are selfish, who don't think about anyone or anything but themselves, which is why we have multiple videos on YouTube where chicks admit that they don't use protection when they have intercourse because they don't like the way it feels. So, I just don't understand how anyone can look at this and go, "Oh, you have to blame this other thing, and maybe they had a tragic backstory." Because remember, when a man doesn't take care of his kid, nobody says, "Oh, well, maybe his dad didn't treat him well." No, they condemn him. They say, "What's wrong with you? You have failed." You know, he actually gets some pushback. But when chicks do it, you have to. I mean, you might as well be entering the Naruto universe with all these tragic backstories. It's okay that she had this kid out of wedlock because her mom told her that she would never amount to anything and her dad didn't visit her every week. I'm like, are you kidding me? So I said, I'm just so tired of all, because you know what it is? It's like when you get attacked over everything, and then you see people who do things that are way worse than what you do, and they get defended, and everybody's making an excuse from you. You just sit back and you're like, what the hell is this? You'll have more people attack me for being unemployed, which hurts nobody besides me, because I'm not on welfare or any other program that whatever. So you'll have more people who will attack me over being unemployed or not having a girlfriend or etc. than you will see people attack chicks who have children out of wedlock that they knew they couldn't afford from the time they got the pregnancy test and there was a plus on there. Like, it's just, God, like, it never stops. One of my relatives that I don't particularly care for, is getting apparently getting married. I don't know when it is. It might be in a month, it might be in a few weeks. I was actually thinking of going to the wedding, not because I like them, but because it's so damn rare to see people who are under the age of 50 get married, that I think if I don't go to this one, I might never actually attend a wedding ever. Among people that I know to some extent. You think I'm kidding? Like, the only reason I would go to a wedding is because nobody gets married anymore. I'm not joking. I don't know a single person my age in real life. So again, we're not talking about internet stuff where you can see anything on there who is married. I know people my age who have bastard children, but like actually having a partner, a person who they put a ring on the finger of and they say I do and walk down the aisle. No, never. By the way, I still can't get over that broad trying to say that I was and you remember this Akatsuki merchant because I think we discussed this on another stream. That was like she was like 19 is too young to get married because that was how old I was when I asked out that uh chick, asked that woman to marry me like 5 years ago. I was like, you have people who literally have kids when they're in high school, and you're gonna get out of my face. And I kept bringing it up to her. I said, do not say something as insane as that to me when we know there is no age limit on when a woman can have a kid. Don't even pretend to sit here and impose some damn restrictions on me. Because I can tell you this, getting married is a hell of a lot cheaper than raising a kid for 18 years, if not longer. And the other part of it that really upset me, just with this continuous what do you call it, like lie that she was telling herself, is that, and we've discussed this before, if you want to get married to someone, but you're like me and you don't care for some big stupid ceremony that is expensive as all hell, most likely, um, you have to go to a courthouse and pay. I think it's like $100, some price that is not that expensive, and then you have the marriage license and you're married. You don't have to have some big extravagant ceremony where there's a whole bunch of people sitting and rolling. Forget all that. The only reason I would even have that is if the woman wanted it, which is like whatever. But as far as for someone like myself, I would prefer that method. But then again, there are those folks who marry one of their first loves, like the one girl or dude that actually stays there more than 2 years. That sucks too. Well, it sucks if the person treats them poorly, but you have to remember, getting married has a lot less consequences than having a kid with someone that you no longer love. You no longer love your wife. You can get divorced. You can have the marriage annulled. Before you even got married, you could have had her sign a prenuptial agreement. Like any way you square it, getting married has less ramifications on your life than having a kid. So I'm just saying that I guess you could argue that there could be some. I'm not trying to say once you get married, it's like happily ever after, because I don't do the fairy tale crap on this channel. But I am telling you that any way you put it, getting married is not as detrimental and as wide ranging in the bad stuff that it can do to you as having a kid with someone who you're not in love with or not with, in some like really committed way. Because I've seen plenty of guys who get put on child support for having it with after some spiteful woman decides that she wants to use the kid as part of her revenge scheme. And I was like, that men have gone to jail over not being able to pay for these kids that they make with these chicks, and then that they have out of wedlock, and then you're surprised that I think talking to chicks is a waste of time, and that I see nothing appealing about speak, especially when I know that the only two options I see are them either saying they don't want to have children, or if they do have children, it's by mistake. So it's like, why would I look at this knowing what we know about the things that they have done and go and say, oh yeah, I can't wait. This is so exciting. I'm real thrilled. Told you, people don't think. They just tell you that you're supposed to aspire to something that's awful. You want to go on a date with the woman? Well, first you have to go to the gym. I'm telling you, man, people are so obsessed with the gym. You would think some of these people that write that in my comment section have like we call it a sponsorship, where they're like, all right, if you go to in different people's comment sections and bring up a gym, we'll pay you $5 for every comment you leave. Oh my God. I tell you about that one crazy guy that said go to the gym every day. It was like, who the hell, what person that works or goes to school can even like bother to do that? I remember that last girl was all like, build something, like, yeah, I'll build a Citadel to get away from crazies. Like, I still don't believe that was a woman. Because remember, we've talked about this before. We've had guys in the past pretend to be chicks when they come and write weird stuff like that. And chicks in general usually don't watch my content like at all. So, unless it goes viral or it gets some crazy amount of views. But I don't believe that was a woman. I think that was probably that same guy on another account. Because if you notice, I told you that there's like a pattern they follow where first they write some really antagonistic comment. Then when you respond back in kind, they dial it back a bit. And then they try to like assert themselves as having something which they can never show. And then when you don't comply with their request to appear on stream, they try to insult you. Because we had another one that did that it was last year. It was like, uh, I can show the things I have. Put me on your stream. Like, no, go make a video. You're a coward. Like, dude, I'm telling you, go make a video. Show off all this extravagant crap you claim to have. And guess what? Here we are 8, 9, 10 months later. Still no proof that he had this stuff. I told you, man, the internet is just the best place to go where you can get all the fake, made up BS that people just spew out and create and conjure up. It's really sad that like we as human beings just collectively have nothing better to do but watch content creators we claim to not like and then try to write stuff to them that I guess is supposed to hurt their feelings. Like, oh man, this person came on my video and insulted me. That's never been done before. By the way, you know that if you criticize a famous person, you'll actually have people who will say that, like, oh, you can't criticize them because you're not as famous as they are. They'll be like, what have you ever accomplished? What have you ever done? If it wasn't for this person's name in your title, you would only be getting 10 views. I just always thought that was so funny because I'm like, so if someone is objectively more well known than another person, that we're supposed to have no criticisms of them whatsoever. I mean, you have plenty of people who, for example, criticize Abraham Lincoln. A bunch of different historians that nobody's that a majority of Americans or just people in general have never heard of unless they study this stuff. So it's like so only famous people can critique other famous, like it's just such a weird position to have. But yeah, I don't believe that was a girl or a woman. I think that was a guy pretending to be a chick, which they have done multiple times in the past. There was another one that wrote something weird. It wasn't as nasty, but it was still like, "You are attacking women." And I was talking about one weird thing that some chick did on I think it was Discord, yeah. And I was like, "I don't believe your woman's like, I'm a girl." Like, yeah, then show proof. That's like the new way to offend them. Say you don't believe they are what they say they are. Because remember, every time you say that, they never show proof. I think it's only fair if we have to show all this evidence and all these screenshots and recordings of chicks lying and saying one thing and then doing the other. I think that they should have the same burden of responsibility where they have to show some evidence to go along with their claims. Because anytime you look at the current model of dating, it doesn't, there's no statistic relating to it that I would say is good or somehow encouraging. Oh, I know what it means to talk smack about everybody's darling, like a post on Reddit about Elon Musk how sloppy he's managing his company. I called him. Oh, I don't want to repeat that. I want to get in trouble. Have YouTube be like, you thought we wouldn't be able to tell what you were saying just because we're in a different language. But they really do that. Where if you and you know the screwed up part is you don't even have to be a person who dislikes the one they're talking about. Like if you just say, "Hey, look, I don't think this guy is as great as you all make him out to be." Where I'm just saying that like it's gotten they're so rabid that even if you don't dislike the person, if you just offer a critique of them or at least state your opinion of them, they will get mad at you and they'll try to like defend them by saying that you don't come anywhere close to where they are in terms of your success, so they can like ignore the critique. I mean, I don't know what they expect. It's like if I run for office and I lose and I critique the person who won, it's like, of course, the person who won is going to be in more articles. You're going to see them more often on TV. Like, what do you expect? Yeah, but it's like if someone criticized the person I liked, I would actually defend them on the points that are, against the points that are being made. I wouldn't launch these like weird personal attacks about how, oh, this person is more famous than you and people have heard of him and he'll go down in history and you're a nobody. It's like, well, hell, what are you? And that's why I always like go back to the what have they accomplished, because they do that to me where they always attack me and try to demean me. So I feel like it's only fair if you say something. I already explained this before that I don't do this unless I'm attacked first, because we've been over this in the past that these people want to attack you and then also control how you respond to their attack. Like if a woman rejects you, you're supposed to just be okay with it, right? But then if you make a video about her, she'll like lose her marbles and go, "Oh my God, how could you do this? I feel so uncomfortable and violated," and et cetera, et cetera. I think I had like two of them do that. I said, "Tough luck, I felt uncomfortable when you wasted my time month after month. So you get what you gave, and just like Eddie Murphy's dad used to say, and if you didn't give nice, you're not going to get nice." My thing is that when people make these comments, they think you're supposed to up and suddenly change yourself because one person online said something nasty about you. Well, I guess, but it's like they're not making, for me to have my position changed on something, I have to actually see well thought out, well constructed arguments to the contrary. So, for example, if somebody could show me statistics that showed that more men were entering relationships with chicks, and it's only me and some tiny itty bitty group of guys that aren't able to get with a woman, maybe then I'd be more open to the idea of like, there's something wrong with you in particular. But instead, the reverse is true. These websites have thousands of men on them. And that's not even counting the ones who have the same issue but just don't congregate in these different groups like I do, where I don't go in these groups. I just talk about it as an individual. Um, it's just I would have to see evidence to support a different conclusion. But they don't show any evidence. That's why they have to launch into all these personal attacks about, oh, you're ugly and you probably don't own anything and you look like this and you need to go to the gym and you need to make more money, because they can't dispute the points that are being made. Trying to get a date with a woman in the current era is is unnecessarily difficult as a result of all the different men that talk to them at once, them never approaching men that they claim to find attractive, and them liking to speak to men who they don't even like in a romantic way in the first place for weeks or months because they're so obsessed with having attention. Again, I don't see any evidence to the contrary. We have statistics of lower birth rates, lower marriage rates, higher divorce. I mean, like who can look at this and say this is good? So yeah, that's why I said modern romance is a joke. You can get mad, you can get angry, but it's too damn bad. I didn't make these statistics. I didn't use my Professor X telekinetic powers to make it, this stuff go on forever. Hippies live on this earth with no. Yeah, that's why you don't see me sitting here and, beating the money drum. I don't like, let me tell you something. If you had to have a bunch of money or even a decent amount to get a date with a woman, you would not have kids being born in low income and poverty infested neighborhoods across the United States and different inner cities. That wouldn't be happening. So again, don't let people trick you into thinking that women in general have this like prerequisite or have always been like this. No, chicks in the past used to be a lot more accepting. They used to actually treat members of the opposite gender like human beings instead of some series of numbers on their computer. Oh, this is man number 32, number 33, 34, 35, 36. So don't that's why I said I don't believe any of this stuff is necessary or is like this essential thing you must have to get a date with a woman, because they've dated all types of different men who don't have this stuff. Like right now, I could go on Facebook. I don't like to show people's pictures, but for all those people that are obsessed with the gym, I could go on Facebook and pull up all the different couples where the man is overweight. And I wouldn't be putting those up to make fun of them or to attack them, but just to say, like, stop sitting here and lying about the importance of the gym. It doesn't matter. God, that's what happens when you overanalyze every single thing about somebody. You try to make everything the fatal flaw. When if a woman doesn't like you, she doesn't like you. We were even going to talk about this in another video I was going to do. You have plenty of chicks who won't date somebody because of their race. So what are you supposed to do then? Snap your fingers and turn white? But again, that's another one of those things you won't see these people mention because it goes against their narrative, their idea that if you just try hard enough, you can get with anybody. No, total BS. If you try hard enough, you can waste your time and regret putting all this effort into people that really aren't worth it. That's why I said people just they have no logic. They just tell you to do stuff, and like I said, it's almost exclusively. It's never people who've had to do this themselves. Like you have the one broad talking about in 5, 10, or 15 years, somebody. It's like, oh, if you think I have to wait that long just to go on a date with the woman, they've already proven themselves to not be worth it. When have you ever heard of a woman having to wait multiple years just to go on a date with somebody? Exactly, never. Because men don't have these ridiculous high standards that nobody can meet. That's why there are no groups of chicks talking about how hard it is to get a date with a man. 5, 10, 15 years. I was like, are you out of your damn mind? Because you know what would happen in any scenario if you end up getting with someone and then they break up with you, or it doesn't play out like the fairy tale that she tried to insist it would be. You're going to be told that you did something wrong and you should have worn this and you should have said, because it's always the man's fault every time. That's why I said I just need to just be hung on a cross, because all you do is get blamed for everything. I knew a homeless couple who had been together for 20. Exactly. That's what actual love looks like. You think out of any time I talk to some woman that I like, and to go, well, I really enjoy speaking to her and I find her attractive, but she doesn't have $1 million or 100,000. Are you serious? Remember, most of the gold diggers are chicks. Like, you don't see men just sitting around. I wonder how much this woman makes, and that will determine if I find her attractive. No, get out of my face. It took my friend a month or 2 months to get in a relationship. So people saying it takes years are lying. Well, see, that's just an excuse they make because they don't want you to again recognize the fact that people have gotten in relationships in middle school, in high school. These individuals are trying to create a false narrative to get you to be appeased with something that sucks. If you have to wait multiple years to just go on a date with the woman, then there's something wrong with that. That shouldn't be no, especially, it's like you just sat at home and didn't approach anybody, especially if you went on social media trying to meet abroad, if you tried to meet broads at malls and different other places in real life, and it still took that long to get one of them to say yes, they're not worth it. Seriously, don't believe these lies. It takes multiple years to get away. And then the same bimbo that's saying that to you has been dating men since she was 13. Get out of my face. It takes multiple years to get someone who understands you and feels like it's like just go away. The only person you're convincing of that lie is yourself. Women want a man that's unconditional. That's why you have to be tall, good looking, and tough to provide for her wants and needs. Dude, what the hell are her wants and needs? Apparently, one of her wants and needs, it should be both, is trying to get attention from random men, which is why while she's talking to you, she's talking to like 5, 10, or 20 other men at once. And don't even like really don't get started on that good looking crap because you know that beauty's in the eye of the beholder. And when you say that, it invites everybody to go, what does this person look like? I bet you're ugly. It's like forget it. We should just say all chicks are out of my league. That's what I'm just gonna say from now on. All of them. They're just all too good. Because remember, we don't show what any of them look like, so people just fantasize in their heads about me asking out all these supermodels. So we'll just say they're all too good looking. They're all out of my league. We're not even going to bring up appearance because we lose by default. Not true. Some of my friends are not tall at all, and they have been in. Dude, I don't know where people get this idea of height mattering from. Um, God, it's just so sad that people are this obsessed with physical appearance. It really is because there's a whole bunch like me and my best friend look nothing alike, and he gets the same result. But whatever. I hate when they say these things too because they're not addressing the fact that you can be whatever. I'm not going to call anybody good looking because that's a waste of time. You're going to have somebody else that calls them ugly right after I say that. But you can fulfill multiple things a woman claims she finds attractive, and she'll still find a reason to turn you down. Like I said, you have chicks who will not date men simply for their ethnicity. And of course, they won't admit this to you, but it's like, what else are you supposed to do then? No, you just be screwed. I tell you, man, people don't even they just whatever. You can tell what women want because they don't know what they want. I thought you said you can't tell. Yeah, they don't. Why do you think you can get one of them who can ask you on a date? We covered this last year. Who can ask you on a date, and then a couple of weeks later say, "Oh no, I don't want this anymore." They don't know what they want. They're just these wishy-washy, bipolar pricks that we only put up with because we've been encouraged by society that you have to be in a relationship with someone, or else you're weird or there's something wrong with you. That's the only reason anybody puts up with them. She's gonna talk about I want to be friends with you. Like, yeah, I'll get right on that. It's a stupid thing to obsess. But my mom was married to a man who was several inches shorter than her. Dude, listen, I've already seen short men in real life get dates, so I'm not even gonna sit here and entertain that stuff. It's just another thing people say that they overinflate the importance of. Just like I've never actually met a man in real life that had a girlfriend that had muscles. Like every single one of them, um, is either average weight or overweight. But again, people for some whatever reason want to sit here and try to sell you this fairy tale about if you don't have muscles, you will never work out. It's like get out of my face. Because I already told you, most of the bastards that write that stuff are probably going to McDonald's right now. Like they always try to come on here and make themselves sound so accomplished and like they're all just Stallone-esque in their look. I mean, give me a break. I swear to you, James, I swear to you, if we go through every man I've met in real life that's been married or has like a long time girlfriend or something, none of them have muscles. Not one. I can name like 6 or 7 of them. Like it's a fact. Most people don't have muscles. So why would you tell that lie? Oh, if you don't have if you have them, people will be surprised that you have them because most people don't. but it's not an instant guarantee that somebody likes you. Especially if you're talking to some bimbo on the computer, like on Reddit, for example, and they can't even see what you look like. So how does that factor in? But that, again, that just shows their stupidity. What's the other one? The McFlurry that has the M&Ms in it. No. P, I'm not saying anything is wrong with McDonald's. What I'm telling you, and I was using it as an example to say that these people that come on here and hide their face but act like they're these extra buff, Super Saiyan looking characters are liars. Because if they were had such amazing physiques that they were so proud of and accomplished with, they would show it instead of hiding it. But no, I wasn't trying to speak disparagingly of people that like McDonald's. I mean, I don't have a problem with them. I'm just using them as an example of how the people that will tell you to do this stuff hide their face for a reason. I tell you, my favorite part is when they try to say this is how it's always been. Like you didn't have any of these damn romance groups 30, 40, 50 years ago because the chicks didn't act like this. They didn't have 15, 20, 30 men talking to them at once. No, it's very different from the way it used to be, and not in a good way. You think I'm kidding? Every time somebody says, eventually you will meet someone, I just start laughing because the amount of time that has passed with nothing, except lies and false starts and all the other like red herring BS. You know what I'm talking about, where they sit there and act like they're so interested in you and they're not really. I told you before, if chicks were as different as people say they are, you would like this issue would not exist because there are a whole bunch of different guys in these groups that are not like me or have different interests from me or don't look like me and they still have the same issue. So there is no big difference between most chicks. A whole bunch of them have the same ridiculous high standards and get defended no matter what screwed up thing they do because all hail the mighty triangle. So I'm just done with even pretending that there's actually like this there's that one woman that is in the corner and I said, the saddest thing is I always give this example that if they're even because you know how people say that there's the one, like there's that one person for everybody. If there ever was the quote unquote one for me, she'd be too busy talking to like 10, 15, 20, 30 other guys. It's for me to even say anything to her. Man, you think I'm kidding? There's no way in hell I put up with any of this romance stuff anymore. Like I already abandoned the idea of having a family because even we've established this before. Even if you get a date with the woman, she still we've had multiple of them who've said they don't want to have a family. So it's like, yeah, now there's even less reason to bother with you. Good job. You made yourselves even less attractive. Good job. Good accomplishment on their part. That was really impressive. It takes a special kind of talent to make someone that's already unlikable and unappealing even less likable and unappealing. Have you ever had a white teacher taught you about? No, we didn't have sex ed in any of the schools I went to. I still think it's funny that you actually have like adults that like I remember this one person like, yeah, they go and they have these babies every 9 months. Like, no, you can't have a kid every 9 months, or it takes like two to for the body. It was just funny, like even grown adults don't understand biology. Like, what I mean? Like even they don't get it. They're like, oh, really? God, man. So I said that woman stuff is just so sad because it's just a bunch of like men asking out chicks and getting turned down over and over again. And then to add insult to injury, you have these like random guys that weren't there to attack you because of your perceived failings to get with a woman, and then the process repeats itself every year until you just get sick of it, or until one of them one day, someday, finally does something different. You can play it. I really do want to get to a point where if we speak to a woman, it's like maybe for 2 or 3 weeks, then that's it. Because I've never seen it where you talk to them for longer than a month, and then it starts like evolving and going in all these different. I mean, I don't I've never seen that in real life. So that's why I'm reluctant to do. But it's me because I'm just tired of having my time wasted. Like, God, you'll talk to one of these bimbos for almost a whole year and you'll still get nothing. So yeah, I just try to stay away from them. They just get caught up on too much goofy stuff for my taste. Too much antagonism. Like they're bad on their own, but then when you throw in like all the online harassment you get for not being able to appeal to them, it's even worse. It's like forget it. It was in fourth grade elementary, and our German teacher stands there with a red head and babble. Hilarious. Um, 15 to 20 guys talking to one woman is crazy. And at this point in my life, I don't feel like competing. Well, I don't even know how you can compete because if you have that many other men trying to talk to one woman, what are you supposed to do that stands out? Because remember, you can write her 10 messages and she still might only send you one. So it's all determined by her anyway. But see, that's why I told you that I've always thought it was ridiculous that chicks, like in my opinion, this would be a lot easier if men just didn't approach at all, and then it was just chicks approaching. Because it's like, why talk to somebody who you have to find out after 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 months doesn't find you attractive? So I just think like they should be the ones that approach because they're the ones with the ridiculously high standards, and that should be it. And if you want some intercourse or some other sexual stuff from a chick, just go pay a hooker. Because these modern ones, you can't get them to do anything. You can't get them to go on a date. You can't get them to do a phone call. You can't get them to keep up with a schedule. I mean, like what? I really do see no point in speaking to them other than to drive yourself crazy. 15 to 20 guys. I told you the first time I ever found out about that was when I was talking to this one broad on it's like 2016 back on Instagram. And she said that she had 10 people ask her on a date on her account, which was like she only had maybe like 2 or 3 pictures of herself on there. And I was so disgusted because I was like, what you're not even like a model, or what do you call it? What's the term for, there's chicks that post like provocative, like promiscuous pictures of themselves online. That's when they have all these different guys drooling. Like she didn't even do that. She barely posted any pictures of herself and had 10 men ask her on dates. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? No, she wasn't a model. She was posting stuff about the news, like on her account, and every maybe 2 or 3 weeks, she'd have one picture of herself, just a normal picture, just looking in front of the camera, just smiling, and had 10 men ask her on dates. She wasn't a model. She didn't regularly post pictures of herself. She posted a few pictures that weren't even, like risque or any, there's stuff you could show to anybody and they would just say, that's just some, lady. Like I was astonished, like I can't believe this. And then 2 years later, it could have been 3 years later, but it's either 2018, 2019. I was on stupid Reddit, and there was a woman who I was speaking to, and then she stopped responding for a bit, and I was like, "Hello," and she's like, "Oh, sorry, I just have so many other men that respond to my messages." And then I said, "Oh, well, I can help to clear the field by not writing anything else back to you again." And then she told me not to stop writing to her. And I was like, I actually guessed the number. I was like, oh, it's like 20 something guys, huh? She's like, oh yeah, something around there. So I'm just saying that, and we talked about the other one who had her number posted on Reddit. Again, no picture, just a number, and the fact that it was a female's number, and she had not one guy, not 10 guys, not 30, not 40, over 50 men send her messages trying to talk to her. But remember, if you sit here and say that people overvalue chicks, especially ones that nobody ever heard of, you're treated like you're crazy. I really want to ask you this: how the hell are you supposed to get with a woman who has 50 other men asking her out without even seeing what she looks like? God, that's why I said that, like, if you really don't understand why I would look at this and say this is not appealing, I don't want to do this anymore, you're crazy. Anyone with two eyes, it should be able to look at that and go, yeah, that's not appealing. That's not something I can see why you wouldn't want to get involved with it. But you have people who think it's just your divine destiny to sit here and get rejected year after year and just keep going out and trying. You can never get tired or sick of it or be discouraged. Dude, I remember one of my favorite comments was when they would say, like, oh, you're too negative to get with the woman. And I was like, okay, I don't know what kind of Disneyland fairy tale you're living in, but every single person I care about or that I've seen be with someone for a long time speaks negatively about things from time to time. Like, I can't tell you how many conversations between my grandmother and grandfather that I overheard where they were just like, "Oh man, we have to pay for this thing over here. This sucks," like. And every time I would call my other grandmother, not every time, but just like here and there, she would complain about her health, pain in her leg, pain in her arm, like. But I'm just saying, like, I don't know people like this in real life who are just always happy and never have anything bad happen to them, or if they do, they're like in a good mood and never pessimistic. I don't know anyone like this in real life that just it doesn't, it's like not a whole person, just like this fake positivity individual at all times. I've never seen that before. Like, the people I talk to are happy a lot, but I mean, I just don't understand why you have to always be glad or not upset over things that are awful, but whatever. I forgot that this is all part of how romance dehumanizes men. So I have to remind myself that you're not allowed to have a wide range of emotions like everybody else, or I should say, like chicks are. You can only be happy or smile. You can never be upset about anything ever. That's true equality. I see a James Lee this comment. Whew. Yeah, it's a sad sight to behold. It's impossible to fake being happy for me. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm in a good mood, regularly, but I don't, I've never, I don't know people in real life that are always happy, which is why I told you that I do think a lot of these individuals on the computer try to sell you like a fairy tale, like once you get with a woman and she'll like you for who you are and you'll ride off into the sunset. But in reality, you'll probably argue with this person. You'll probably have some kind of conflicts with them, because I don't see any relationships like this where the two people are always happy, they don't have any disagreements, and they're always in a good mood. I don't know any people that act like this. I really don't. Maybe on the fake computer relationships that people watch in video. You know what's really funny? Um, there's a we talked about this before, like the public persona where a person might act differently in front of a camera than they do in real life, or is like playing themselves up for a camera. I really do start to think that some of these people see relationships on YouTube, like those different couple channels that I despise, but you're aware that they exist, where like all they do is smile and they're happy and oh look at the pretty baby, but but they don't. That's why they don't want to accept the idea that someone who is open about the fact that sometimes they're glad, sometimes they're sad, that person could ever be with them. Because to them, you have to always be happy. You can't have, again, a wide range of emotions. All part of the dehumanization. Because I came on here and said the woman was supposed to be happy at all times, or if she was too negative to get with someone, I'd be laughed at. People go, oh. Yeah, I don't fake being happy either. I was very unhappy this past week. My mailman didn't deliver my mail for a few days late. My internet was out for like 5 or 6 days. I got stood up for this call I was supposed to have. I had a whole bunch of stuff to not be happy with. So I told you I don't know people like this in real life who just sit here and are always in a good mood. I think I explained my theory before that there's just a real desire to see fakeness online, to see people act in this extremely. Maybe it's because people in I don't want to be like a psychiatrist going to like propose a theory. Maybe it's because people are so miserable in real life that if someone is on there and they explain things and talk about things in a manner that is not positive because there's no reason to be positive about it, that like offends them because they want to get away from the reality of life, which is that there are a lot of bad things going on. Hey, that's just my theory. My mom and dad have such relationship. I'm married for over 40 years and still happy, and I never remember any big marital quarrel. Well, I don't think getting into the occasional argument means you're not happily married. I'm just saying that I think that people who are married are not just always happy and sometimes have issues with each other, which they discuss and work together. See, the problem with modern chicks is that they don't want to have compromises. So we were talking about the one that wouldn't do the call with me, for example. So you can know that if you were to ever have a relationship with that person, which you wouldn't because they always say no, that it wouldn't work because you would try to make it work and compromise, etc. And then she would say, "You did this one thing I don't like. I never want to see you again. Go away." Because that's what they do. They just nitpick and find problems and complain about things because that is the full extent of their powers. They just nag and moan and whine and complain. That is them entirely. Told you with that romance stuff, I compromised so many things. I compromised what my preference is. I even was willing to compromise my religion to get married to that stupid broad from 5 years ago. And what did you get for your compromises and your willingness to try and meet somebody halfway? Not a thing. So I told you there's just no incentive to talk to them anymore. And I've seen plenty of ones in real life and online that I think are, I guess, attractive, but I can't be bothered because I know how it ends. We've seen this play out too many times. And dude, I'm telling you, some of these chicks aren't even that like you. I think it's so funny how like they'll say somebody's desperate and like there are certain chicks I wouldn't even bother with. Like I've explained that before, but when I see some of the chicks that people that like have men date them, I'm always like puzzled. I'm like, what does he? That's why I said that. Like, I really do think if men weren't as desperate as they are, and there would be a slight reversing of. But then again, it's like there are plenty of chicks that I've never thought were attractive that had men like. So I guess um maybe that would still happen. I don't know. It's just there's a lot of them where I'm like, this person is better than me to where they have a partner. Really? Seriously? No, they're not better than me. They just have a vagina. That's the only thing that they have over me. Let's just keep it real. They have that magic triangle, so automatically they'll get some dangle. Same here. I see plenty of attractive women online in real life, but I don't approach because I already know it's going to end for me. Yeah, it's always the same thing. Even if you get one of them to talk to you for weeks or months, they still never reciprocate. And it gets to a point where you're like, God damn, just do something different for once. Everybody's talking about you always do the same thing and you expect different. They do the same thing and give you the same result. You cannot make someone like you. How many times do you have to say that before it clicks for these bastards? Like it's very obvious. If someone doesn't think you're attractive, there's nothing you can do about it. Especially if it's for because we talked before about how you have chicks that won't date someone based off of their ethnicity, for example. So like I I just think to sit here and overanalyze the guy, the one who was willing to date this person, who was open to dating this person, who accepted this person, I just think it's counterproductive because he's not the one who's sitting there with a chip on his shoulder and talk about this. I don't think this woman is appealing enough for me. Like, who the hell are you? If I would have had my ex-girlfriend pregnant by the time when I was in high school, my life would have been more grateful. What? Well, yeah, you have to get her pregnant by accident because it can never just be two people get married and decide to have children. It's always the same stupid saga. Oh, I forgot where my condoms were. I guess we can do this without using any protection. A couple weeks later, oh, you're pregnant? Oh man, I guess I have to go and get a job. And then by the time the kid's born, I don't even like you. I hate you. Stay away from me. And then like a year later, damn, I'm in jail because of the child support not being paid by me. If only I'd used my condom. Dude, people don't even have families because they want to like actually raise somebody and nurture and are taking nothing. They just do it because they it's a photo op and they know that everybody will be sympathetic toward them because look at how cute the baby is. I have seen that so many times in real life, and I just really want to vomit because there are some of us who, if we were given the opportunity, we'd be a lot more, I guess, measured in types of the things we would, in terms of the decisions and things we would do to, actually make the kid's life better instead of just, well, I'm a selfish prick, so let me just not use any protection and deal with the results, whatever they may be afterward. And my favorite line is still the one where it's like, if a woman gets a man to like her, it's like if a man gets a woman to like her, it's an accomplishment. If a woman gets a man to like her, it's not because usually he had nobody talking to him while she had a whole bunch of guys talking to her. So her getting a man to reciprocate her attraction is like running for office and being the only candidate. You win by default. 12 years and I've been getting the same results. LOL, yep, I give up. But like I said, if you're ever in the mood for like because I've said before, I do not believe intercourse should be something you can only have if a random woman likes you. I don't believe that. I think that's completely ridiculous and absurd because chicks will do all kind of different types of services if they think they can get some money out of it. I'm very serious. If you ever feel like you have to have intercourse because that's something that people just are so obsessed with online, you know where the hookers are located and you know where you can legally get something out of them. So I fully recommend taking a trip down because at least if you go over there and you pay a price, you get what you paid for. You don't have to sit here and talk to nobody for no 2, 3, 4, 5 months or any of that other crazy stuff. Think I'm kidding, man. If I ever felt like, oh my God, I need to have intercourse, the first thing I'm doing is driving over to Vegas. We're not going to go on Reddit. We're not going to go on Twitter. We're not going to go to the market and try to see if we can. Nah, forget that. And I actually took the advice of these people online. It still didn't work. Of course, it doesn't, because when chicks don't like somebody, it doesn't matter what they do. What did I tell you before? You cannot make someone like you, platonically or romantically. You cannot make them do that. If they don't come to that conclusion by themselves, they're not going to come to it because you want them to. Well, I didn't know you were in Germany. I didn't ask you for your. I should have asked you for your place of origin. You know what? I actually do want to figure this out. Would it be more expensive to try and get someone out of a hooker from Germany, or fly from Germany to here to Vegas to like get screwed by one of them? I'm so done with this stuff, man. The only thing I guess people can criticize me for is not being tall enough or not being a millionaire. Well, like I said, I already know in real life that there are men who are under 6 feet that have dates. So I'm not even going to entertain that theory. And as far as the millionaire thing is, welcome to the club. Most people are not rich. Seriously, at some point, you just have to say to yourself, how many times are they going to be allowed to talk to me like they're these accomplished, amazing? And remember, how many of these chicks are over 6 feet or are tall enough, whatever that means? How many of them are rich? I'm very serious when I say this. When have you ever seen anyone tell a woman, "I won't date you because you're too short"? Never. Yeah, that and the mall has been dead since 2014. That stupid trash. He picked some random year out of the calendar and was like, "The mall has passed away since this random year." And they couldn't tell me what happened that year for it to be dead. Like, he just grabbed this random year. Dude, like, I'm not even joking. The closest thing to a death of the mall is probably COVID, because I've only been back up there one time since the virus went out. But when I was going up there like every other week back in like 2018, 19, back when I was like still at the height of the approach chicks and see what happens saga, there were people in there all day long from like sometimes 12, 1, 2 in the afternoon. I mean, don't like I don't that's why I said these people just they you know what this is? Believe none of what you hear and only half of what you see. So some guy on the computer can tell you that the mall's been dead for 7 years. But if you go out in real life and you see a whole bunch of different chicks, usually accompanied by men, but nonetheless, a bunch of chicks at the mall every day. Yeah, I think you know which is correct and which isn't. And I already explained to you before, you can be tall, you can own things, and you can still get rejected by chicks. Because if they don't like somebody in a romantic way, they will find any reason to not reciprocate. It's just as simple as that. And I really hate that we have to like sit here and question what's wrong with us over and over, year after year, because of somebody else's decision. You didn't choose to be single. You didn't choose to sit there and have unrealistic standards. So why should you feel bad? Remember, they're doing this to men that are taller than you, men who are different from you in pretty much every conceivable way. And you know why, right? Because it doesn't matter. If someone doesn't like you, there's nothing you can do about it. And it goes both ways. Like I said, I had one chick when I was in 12th grade say that she had fallen for me. And I thought she was hideous. I thought she was hideous. I thought she was stupid, and I said, forget it. Remember, you can't make somebody like you. It goes both ways. Only difference is that since I don't have a vagina, I don't usually get asked out ever. But don't feel bad about this, because it's not you that's at fault. It's these chicks and their ridiculous standards that, again, nobody can meet, which is why there's whole groups of guys that talk about how hard it is to get one of them. Anyways, I'm gonna get off of here because I'm getting hungry and I want to get something to eat. So thanks, James. I guess I can call you P, the nice guy, Akatsuki merchant, wherever he went. He disappeared after the first 20 minutes. And I hope you enjoyed this unusually placed stream, and maybe I'll be able to do it for my usual quarters next Saturday. But if not, then we'll do it back here again. So thanks for showing up. Have a good day.